Roommates. When Alex moved into the spare room, I was relieved. I had no one renting it for a while and I really needed to have someone. The spare cash would help me with tuition. Even if it was just a little bit, I figured that if I rented out the other room in the house, then I could make some money and not be so lonely. My first roommate was okay. She was very polite, and did not bother me in any way. I constantly hear stories about crazy roommates, but she was one of the coolest ones. Unfortunately, she had to move out and leave the room vacant. I struggled to find someone consistent for a while because there was some crazy people out there. Most of the people who came to do viewing looked downright creepy. I could see from the get-go that I would have problems with them as my roommates, and those that I eventually gave chances to would only last a few days before they did something weird or we disagreed about a certain matter. It was hell. When I met Alex, he seemed like someone I could live with. He was the quiet nerdy type. I know this sounds presumptuous, but I almost expected him to shout Expelliarmus when we first met. He just looked like he belonged at Hogwarts, but in a good way. He seemed decent enough, so I decided to give him a chance. I was so glad I did because he became one of the best roommates I have ever had. It was so easy to live with him. I did not have to worry about him breaking the rules and using stuff that did not belong to him. He was always respectful and decent. Of course, he and I would quickly become good friends. One day I got home from college and went straight to my room. I had to do a ton of homework on that day, and there was no way I was going to be resting that day. So I had refreshed up and gotten straight to the books. As I was busy, there was suddenly a loud crash. I figured that it was nothing, so I continued what I was doing. The next thing I know, there was a knock on the door. I got up and went to open it. I was a bit annoyed that I had been disturbed. I was so busy on that day. I opened it to find an unfamiliar boy. He had dark hair and piercing blue eyes. "Jason?" he said. "Yes," I said. "Hi, I'm Alex's boyfriend. I just wanted to ask where the toolbox is. I can't find a certain type of screw in mine. I'm trying to fix his desk, hence the crash from earlier," he said. I was taken aback. Alan had never brought anyone home. He should have told me that he was with someone, which was one of the rules we had established. I was going to have a chat with him later about his lack of transparency. I also did not know that he was gay. I did not have a problem with that in the slightest. I just needed to know. But it was okay. I would deal with him later. "Sure, no problem. It's in the attic. Come with me," I said politely. I walked him until he reached the attic. I climbed up the ladder and went in to retrieve the toolbox. I then handed it to him. He thanked me and was on his way. I then went back to my room and got back to my work. I changed my Spotify daily mix and I put my headphones in once again. I did not make them too loud though, because I always wanted to be alert. I guess I was just the paranoid person. I never chilled at any point in my life. I was very superstitious. I was the kind of person who believed that if I did not step on cracks in the pavement, I would have a good day. So yes, I believed in monsters under the bed and ghosts and Halloween. My friends found it hilarious that I was so superstitious. But really, why would anyone not believe in luck and misfortune? I remember that one time I found a 4-leaf clover and it was one of the luckiest days of my life. Alex was a skeptic, like everyone else. He believed that you can make your own luck. Well, I would not take advice from a guy who had a habit of breaking his glasses and tripping all the time. He was terrible at making his own luck if he was the one responsible for it. So yes, I believed that anything could happen at any time, so I always made sure to be alert so that I would be ahead of the threat. I even had a baseball bat right next to my bed. The main reason was that I played it at college. The other one was that I wanted to be ready for anything, even the end of the world, which was why I was upset that he had not told me about his boyfriend. Seeing a person that I did not know in my house had a possibility of frightening me if I was having a bad day. I had bad anxiety when people I did not know or people I had never seen before were in my personal space, I guess. I continued with my homework, working through it as quickly as I could. I was excited because the guys were coming over tonight and we would have a game night. We had not had one of those in so long. I was glad that tomorrow was my last midterm. It was also for the module I found the easiest, so I did not mind relaxing for a little while. It had been proven that all work and no play makes one a very dull person. I was done soon enough and I went down to the kitchen to see if I had everything that I needed for that night. I realized that we were low on beer, so I decided to head to the store. Just then, I saw Alex's boyfriend storm out. He rushed past the kitchen door and slammed the front door hard. I wondered if there was trouble in paradise. I went and knocked on Alex's room. He opened and I saw that his hair looked a bit disheveled and his eyes are wild. "Hey, can we talk?" I said. He nodded and he let me in. He gestured for me to sit on his bed and I complied. He was one of the neatest roommates I had so far and I appreciated him for that. I did not hesitate to sit on his bed. "Hey dude, how's it going?" he asked. "Great dude, I just wanted to talk to you about something," I said. "Sure, what's up?" he asked. Your boyfriend, I started. Oh, he's not my boyfriend. We have only hung out a few times, yet he thinks that we are now dating. We just had a fight and broke off whatever we were doing, he said. Oh, okay, I just wanted to tell you that it would be best if you introduced whoever you bring home to me first. I don't like having people I don't know in my house, I said. Sure, dude, no problem. I will do so. I'm not in a serious relationship right now, just chilling and vibing with different people. But I'll introduce the ones that I bring home. I don't know why a sharp pain went through me when he said this. I was okay with him bringing guys home, was I not? Awesome, I'm going to the store to get some beer. Would you like anything? I asked. Just some Doritos, please, he said, handing me some cash. Sure, see you later, I said to him as I went out of the room. I then proceeded to walk to the store. It was nearby, so I don't mind getting some exercise. I was a firm believer that exercising helped you to live longer. It did not take me long to get there. I bought the items I needed and rang them up. The cashier was really nice to me. She rang my order up twice due to her messing up. Normally, I would have found it cute and probably got her number, but I did not have the energy on that day. I don't know why I was put off. My mind kept drifting back to Alex, the way his hair had been so messy. What had he been doing with that other guy? I shook my head. Why in the world was I having such strange thoughts? I got back home and found my best friends Ryan and Mike already waiting for me. We cracked a few beers while waiting for Peter to come join us. After about an hour, he sent a text saying that he had some baby mama drama to deal with, so he couldn't make it. So that meant we were short one player. Hey Jason, why don't you ask your roommate if he can join us, Ryan said. Good idea, I said and made my way to his room. I knocked and he shouted that I must enter. He was standing in the middle of the room with nothing but a towel on. A few drops of water were running down his toned chest. I blushed and looked down. I don't want him to get the wrong idea and think that I was checking him out. I was a full-blooded straight man. I did not want him to think otherwise. Hey, we're short one player. Do you want to play a game with us? I asked him. Sure, just give me a few minutes, okay? He said. I then went back to the room. During the game, I was hyper-focused on him from the corner of my eye. I was not so sure if I was comfortable around him now that I knew his sexual orientation. I don't know why, but that made me so uneasy. After the game, everyone went home and we were left alone. He opened his mouth to say something, but I cut him off by mumbling about wanting to do something and sped off to my room. The next couple of weeks were very uncomfortable. He did what I had told him to, but he was just too busy. He would introduce 2 to 3 guys to me every week. I do not want to lie, I was very uncomfortable with the situation. I do not know why I felt uneasy to see him kiss another guy in front of me. I changed towards him. I was no longer as friendly as before. I was pretty much polite, but distant. I made sure that I spent as little time at home as I possibly could. I did not want to have a problem with him being gay. That is what I kept on telling myself. But I was a person who was too much in touch with his feelings. When I did not feel alright, I dissected every small detail that I could until I found the root cause of the problem. I did not hate him. I thought he was a cool guy, but I could not seem to stop obsessing over his romantic life. I was also being a hypocrite. I bought a new girl over several times, but I found out as soon as I entered the house, I had lost interest in the girl. I was way more fascinated with him. Maybe I was obsessed with my roommate. Maybe that's why I was feeling like this. I did not want to have a problem with him. I just had a problem with the guys he brought home. I worried that he was locking lips with them. If that was not strange, then I don't know what was. I had no idea what was up with me. I had to figure it out ASAP. One day, we were having dinner. He had decided to make some pasta for us since we had been surviving on takeaways for such a long time. One thing about him was that he knew how to cook. I gobbled up all the food, not saying a word. Do you want some more? He asked me. Sure, I smiled. He got up and went to get some for me. We made some small talk as we ate. Nothing serious, but it was evident that something was wrong. We were very awkward around each other. Okay, at first I thought I was making things up, but I'm very convinced right now, he said. What? I said. You have a problem with me, he said. No, I do not, I protested. This was bad. I did not want him to think that I had anything against him. I guess the way I had been acting for the past few weeks was catching up with me. Yes? Why are you always avoiding me then? He raised an eyebrow. I don't avoid you. What are you talking about? I said innocently. I was going to deny. As soon as you get home, you leave and go somewhere. In the morning, when you see me, you leave your breakfast and tell me that you'll see me later. Do you not like spending time with me? He asked, brown eyes full of hurt. No, I felt bad. I did not want to make him feel terrible in any way. Is it because I'm gay? He dropped the bomb. As he said his words, I realized that I may have been unknowingly acting homophobic towards him. My feelings were so confusing. I did not know what I felt for him and I was scared. I was scared because he was changing me. I was afraid of change. I had always known who I was. My identity was something that I did not compromise on. No, he made me feel a way that I was not familiar with. I promise I don't have a problem with you being gay, I said to him. Really? Then what is it? He asked. The guys you bring home, I said. Okay, I will stop bringing them here. I will go to their places instead, he said. No, that's the thing. I don't want you to kiss other boys who are not me, I blurted out. Now, where in the world did that come from? I had not expected those words to come out of my mouth, but as they came out, I realized that they were the truth. What? He stands up. I look down. Yeah, I should not have had that gin earlier. It led me to confess what I had been determined to keep to myself for as long as possible. Now, he knew. The next thing I knew, his lips were on mine. I felt desire coursing through my veins, and there was nothing more than that in my system. His lips were so soft and skilled. We kissed until we both ran out of breath. Then we pulled apart. What had I done? I felt so confused, but also felt a deep yearning. I did not know which one of my desires to give into. His eyes looked so bright, and they were daring me. They were daring me to dare turn away, to dare move away from those pink lips. I could not. I kissed him again. I pulled his collar and he came closer to me. My heart beat as fast as I probed his mouth, asking for entrance. I don't know how long we sat there and kissed, but for a while, all I know is that I liked kissing my roommate. Eventually, we both went to our respective rooms. I was a bit tired from the long day I had. As soon as I entered the room, I collapsed on my bed and fell asleep. I had a long, dreamless night. I woke up the next morning with a raging headache. I had drunk too much the previous night. I got out some headache pills from my drawer and went to the kitchen to get some water to drink with them. Once I drank the pills, I tried to piece together what had happened to me last night. The memories were vague, but there was one that was as clear as daylight. I had kissed my roommate. As I was sitting there staring into my glass in shock, I heard a voice. Morning, sunshine, he said. Last night, I stuttered. Yes, we kissed. I understand if you need time to figure this out. I'm sure that is confusing for you, he said. I was so relieved to hear him say that. I had a ton of things to figure out. Can I still kiss you? I asked. Perhaps the alcohol was still in my system, because I had no idea where my bravery was coming from. Sure, we can be kissing friends, he grinned. So he and I did that while I figured out my feelings. It felt really strange to have my identity start developing into something more. I'd always been stagnant, never changing. I had been so set in my ways that I ignored who I really was, all because I wanted so badly to fit into the box that society had labeled for me. I felt so naked coming out of that box, but I cannot deny how free I felt. I did not know what the future held, but I was not afraid of the change that was sure to happen, now that I was more open to exploring who I was. The end. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing to become part of our Rainbow Force, and stay wholesome.